give us some information on how we can actually leverage an AI to stand out. Because I think the most leverage people now are people that are doing AI and followed by developers. So our speaker is Omoerah Amos. He's a software engineer at Loubby AI. Amos, if you can hear me, please introduce yourself and proceed from there. Thank you.
Hi everyone, good evening again. Um, I am Amos Omoerah, a software engineer at Loubby AI, and we are just generally going to talk about how AI is changing workplace expectations, right? I'll just go ahead and share my screen now so we can just go through the slide together. Okay, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Is it
Can
visible
see
now?
it. Yes, yes. Thank you.
Awesome. So just a quick one. Yes. So how AI is quietly changing workplace expectations. The pace is real and the bar is high, right? So we're going to start with something I call the AI promise. And what this is just when they introduced AI to us, they told us that AI would help us save a lot of time. AI would handle the repetitive tasks nobody wanted to do, especially in the software engineering space. There are some certain things that, irrespective of where you're working, it's almost always repetitive. And AI would free us to focus on creative and meaningful work. So when you like, for instance, in software engineering, when you finish handling the authentication flow, you now get to build the real functionalities of the app. So AI would help us get away that crude repetitive tasks, and then we get to focus on all the meaningful work. Did AI deliver on that part? Yes, it did. It makes us more productive. Tasks that used to consume entire afternoon now take minutes. First draft of your product appear in seconds. You can literally have an idea, and then you pull up an LLM, and then you just quickly type, "Oh, I have this idea. Can you create a draft for me?" And it literally just comes up in a couple of minutes, right? Even gives you the pros and cons of that, right? So, and for instance, data analysis that requires a specialist can be done by anyone just with the right prompt, right? And but then, what's actually changed with the introduction of AI, right? So, what happened? Um, there's something I refer to as the productivity trap, and what does that means is that AI actually, yes, somebody raised their hand.
He actually said we can't see anything, but we can see his screen. Then I want to log out and probably join again.
Oh, you can't
But
see anything.
I can actually see your screen.
Okay, so but what's the issue?
Someone
Oh,
who,
you can't see what I'm presenting. Okay, let me just try sharing again. Is it visible now?
yes. How about others?
Uh, can you see the slideshow now?
Yes, 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 yes. We can. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So AI saves time, right? Tasks that took hours now take minutes. Output increases, right? But that new speed quickly becomes the baseline expectation. And the time you saved, it gets filled with more work. So the general idea is the to the employers, right? AI is supposed to make tasks faster, probably in some cases even replace humans. But the real thing is when you do so much in a short period of time, you just get to do more, right? Because Say, for instance, you are building something, right? Generally, what you'd want to do is break it down into steps and do it. Oh, I do this screen today, tomorrow I do that screen, right? You find out that you spend a large amount of time actually doing those things in that particular space of time, right? So rather than taking breaks or whatnot, you are prompting various AIs, building up your ideas, and at the end of the day, you are stuck in a loop where you are being productive, but at the cost, right? At the cost of you are doing more work than you regularly do. Efficiency rises, but so do demands, right? What your employer would, what you'd regularly present and say, oh, this is what I did throughout the course of yesterday, it becomes a problem, right? Because with AI, you are supposed to do more than that. So the real question is, are you actually doing less work or more work, right? So that's the productivity trap. You are being productive, but you are actually doing more work with a tool that is supposed to save time. So efficiency rises, but so do demands. What felt like a breakthrough starts to feel like the new normal. The promise was relief, but the reality is acceleration. You are working um, to do more in a short period of time, and that makes you work longer hours, right? And a UC Berkeley study found that people who are working longer hours with AI, not shorter, right? You begin to do more hours with AI, not shorter, because you find out that you are eating, you are prompting AI. You are taking a break, you are prompting AI, right? And at the end of the day, you spend most of your time actually working than actually what's it called, you spend more time doing the same work than actually having a reduced time of work, right? So common AI tools aren't reducing pressure, they are just redistributing it, right? And when AI initially rolled out, leaders and employees alike felt like they were promised more time, but what they actually got was higher expectations. So what this means is that um, you as an employee who uses AI, the expectations are quietly rising, right? Behind the scenes, you get to do more in a short period of time. And if you are not aware of this, you fall into the productivity trap where you are supposed to be saving time, but at the end of the day, you spend more time actually working, right? And if you had to look at numbers, AI adoption jumped from 30 to 76% between employees between 2025 and 2023 in a McKinsey study. And AI fluency is no longer a bonus skill, right? It's a baseline expectation. As adoption rises, so do expectations, right? It's not what was expected of you to be able to accomplish last year is what's expected of you now. I mean, especially if you're a software engineer, there are tools like Cursor that were not very available or that efficient as they are now as at last year. So you're expected to do more and turning productivity gains into pressure, right? At some point, you feel pressured to be able to do more. So what makes you faster sometimes doesn't make you free. It literally resets the bar. So example of rewarding parts of what I'm talking about, right? Marketers are now expected to produce copy campaign variants and basic creative concepts without always relying on writers or designers, right? Before, it was a case of marketers just come up with an idea, they speak to a copywriter, they speak to designers, they speak to other people, right? And then specialists in this field, and these specialists take on these challenges and come up with concepts and designs. But right now, the marketer, after thinking of the idea, has to do this himself, which at the end of the day is more work for the marketer, right? So, I mean, it's if you look at product managers too, it's the same thing, right? They do more work, right, in a shorter period of time, but you are not aware that you are actually taking more time, right, to do work. Say, for instance, naturally, what a marketer and a copywriter or a designer would do in 5 hours, it probably does it in 2 hours, but it doesn't stop there because rather than just designing, he can now decide to use AI to do the prototype. And then after doing the prototype, he decides to use AI to do more things, right? But what is the hidden cost of all this? I've talked about the problem now, right? And The hidden cost is that they call it AI brain fry, right? Researchers came up with a name for it, where if you don't use AI properly, if you are just stuck in that loop of always prompting, you really don't get too much of it. You get cognitive stress, you get overload, you are tired every day after work, and at the end of the day, your productivity is low. You are not making the best of it. So they surveyed around 1,444 US-based for 1,488 US-based workers to understand how AI is changing day-to-day work. What they found wasn't just increased productivity, it was cognitive stress. Yes, productivity is increased in some cases, in most cases, but you are stressed mentally. And at the end of the day, if you span that over a couple of 2, 3 weeks, it begins to affect your work output because every day you are stressed. So as AI speeds up execution, workers are expected to process more information, make faster decisions, and stay constantly engaged. They found a fascinating relationship between the number of AI tools used simultaneously and perceived productivity. As employees go from using one AI tool to two simultaneously, they experience significant increase in productivity. But when you begin to incorporate the top tool, productivity increases, but at a lower rate because you are slower at that point, right? You get to be more productive, but you are not accomplishing at a faster rate because you have to go between to A to B to C. And then the moment you begin to add to D and to E to it, at that point, you are now going through 4 or 5 different tools. Your productivity drops and you get cognitive stress, and then you don't do it at a faster period of time. You get to spend more time analyzing data across all the outputs of 5 or 6 different tools you are using. So, and another cost is that AI output still needs human review. Because this system can make mistakes, right? They can create an extra layer of anxiety, and people end up spending more time being responsible for the AI and also decide how much they want to rely on it. There is also the coordination cost. As people juggle more AI tools, as I mentioned before, they spend more time switching between outputs, comparing answers, and correcting inconsistencies, which creates cognitive fatigue and can quietly eat into productivity gains. So, what is the leverage you have over all this, right? I've talked about how wrongly using these tools or overloading yourself with these tools can cause cognitive stress and also affect productivity. Your leverage is discipline and skill, right? Your leverage is that if you discipline yourself enough, the fatigue comes from unstructured AI use, not the AI itself. So better habits can reduce the strain, right? The AI is not the problem. The problem is how you use the AI, right? And how to do this is by developing AI skills, right? Becoming not just prompting, you learn how to prompt the right way. How do I make the best of any AI system I'm using, right? That should be the question you ask yourself. You shouldn't juggle from one AI tool to the next to the next. You should focus on, okay, this system that works for me, how do I prompt this system efficiently? How do I use this tool better to serve my needs, right? Not being distracted by juggling between 5 to 6 AI tools at every point in time. So you train with purpose, not panic. You train yourself, as in this instance, with purpose. So the mistake most people make isn't ignoring AI, it's adopting it without learning it. They open tools, they prompt randomly, switch platforms without purpose, and wonder why they feel more scattered than productive, right? You find out that at the end of the day, especially when you are prompting AI about a skill you know nothing about, it becomes overloading to you, right? Because you know almost nothing about this field, and then you're asking AI about it, and it's giving you a lot of information you can process. At that point, it becomes a lot, right? So you have to learn the right way to prompt, like telling the AI, okay, at this point in time, I am not an expert in this field. This is my first time, right? Adding that to a prompt can reduce the amount of information overload coming to you towards the end of the towards when the response is being returned. So another thing to note is that AI, or the use of AI, is actually a skill. It is not a shortcut to getting answers to your problem. It is not a shortcut to solving or closing the skill gap. It is in itself a skill. Prompting AI in itself is a skill, and like any skill, it rewards deliberate practice over passive exposure. You don't do it just because. You have to learn to use AI the right way. It's literally what sets you apart from those who use it passively, because the response or the quality of response they get after every use or after every prompt, or the results they get, especially for using dedicated systems, is going to be different from you who knows how to use it better, right? So your general output, your general work is different, right? An example of that is that for sales professionals, you master AI for lead research, personalized outreach, and pipeline analysis. One tool deeply learned will outperform five tools used casually, right? There are AI tools sales professionals used for outreach and all, and there are so many of them out there. You can quickly get distracted and lost by trying to use five tools. Oh, I heard this tool is nice. Oh, I heard this tool is better. I heard this one is better. But leveraging the one you have and knowing how to make the most of it will most times give you the edge over using five different tools, right? Because at the end of the day, you are not really skilled in the use of that AI. You are just prompting, you are just doing it just because passively. So learning how to use it the right way actually gives you the edge, right? Because what you get, your results are much more structured. They are much more better than just using it passively. For developers, use effective prompting for code generation, build judgment to know when to trust AI outputs and when to override it. Develop review habits that catch hallucinations before they reach productions, right? So you don't just accept everything that comes to you, you have to review. So that way the AI learns from you, it gets better. Your prompts, you can't just say, I saw a bug, right? The bug is this error, which is generic. That way, your AI is probably going to go around the system looking for possible instances that will give that bug. And that way, right, it brings us back to information overload. You're now overloaded with information. You've seen 30 other places in your code base where there is a problem, right? Because you are not specific enough. And then you now begin to fix those 30 other places, right? At the end of the day, you are burning more time than you should. And then there is this other thing where, you know, when you, especially if you are using LLMs like ChatGPT and you say, you know what, I have this problem. And then it suggests to you, oh, you can make it better by doing this. And then you just keep clicking yes, yes, yes. At the end of the day, you are not really solving anything. The idea or the perception of getting the perfect model takes over actual efficiency and iteration, right? So operations and administration, you learn workflow automation. The person who can design an AI powered process, who can see where automation saves meaningful time versus where it creates unnecessary complexity, we always outvalue the person who runs a manual one, right? Use AI for its first drafts and research, but develop the editorial instinct to know what is original and what's generic. AI can produce volume. Your value is in voice, strategy, and knowing what resonates with the real audience. So this is just generally saying, irrespective of the field you are in, learn to sieve out any information that is unnecessary. Learn to stick with only what is important for your use case. AI will always suggest a lot of things that might sound good to you, but you have to ask yourself, is this really part of what I'm trying to achieve at the moment? How is this beneficial? Does it resonate with the audience, or does it match the strategy, right? You don't always have to take the next best suggestions because it sounds good. You have to sieve out the noise, right? And focus on what is important at every point in time. So AI effective work, right? Limit your toolkit, 2 to 3 AI tools that genuinely serve your workflow, right? Nothing, I mean, I don't really see any need for anything more than that, right? But just limit it to that. Block deep focus time for your own um, cognitive abilities, if I'm to use it that way. Use AI for speed bust research, drafts, data analysis, brainstorming, then step away. Block away 2 to 3 hours daily for uninterrupted AI free thinking. So this helps you keep your brain stimulated, right? You still are able to recognize patterns and know what is efficient at every point in time. That work actually differentiates you, right? Strategy, judgment, creativity still requires human concentration. So deadline your AI, set hard stops, right? The draft is done in 20 minutes. This workflow is good enough at version 3. Without deadline, the next improvement is always one prompt away, right? You just keep prompting to improve one thing or the other. There is always one improvement to make with AI. Don't learn by trial and error alone. Take a proper course on prompting techniques, workflow design, or AI tools specific to your field. Don't just assume that everything is the same, right? There probably be an edge of one over the other, knowing what to use and when to use it, right? Like how software engineers will tell you, oh, if you are doing more logical work, right, use something like Codex. But if you are doing things that have to do with UI, use Opus, right? Codex is not really good with UI work. So know exactly what you need at every point in time, and structured training will actually help you know or learn about this. Takeaways, right? Distress is a signal, not a sentence. AI brain fry is real and documented, but it is caused by unstructured use, not by AI itself. Build a practice, limit tools, block focus time, and set deadlines. Intention beats speed. The people who thrive won't be the fastest AI users. They will be the most disciplined, the ones who build a practice, the ones who understood that AI doesn't replace your value. It amplifies whatever you bring to the table. Thank you. The promise of AI may be limitless. Your energy isn't. Spend it wisely, train deliberately, and use the tools like the professional advantage they are.
Wow, wow, wow. I can't. This is power pack. I can even see from the reactions that all of us are wow. Amos, you deserve all the claps. Thank you very much. So we'll be moving to question and answer. So if you please have an answer, sorry, question, raise your hand so our facilitator will actually answer from his lot of experience. Okay, Nail Tech Solutions. I don't need.
Okay, my question, sorry, good evening, everyone. Question is for software development or software engineer, as you said. Let's say you want to build a website using AI and Opus is for the UI, while Codex is for logic. Does it mean that you can use both at the same time, designing the UI with Opus and then the logic with Codex? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, Neotech, the idea lies in structure, right? Yes, you can use Codex to be building the backend and Opus to be building the front end concurrently. But at that point, you end up with very bad results, right? Because while this one is building, they iterate, they make changes to what they've done already. And if one is looking at the other, is also making changes as they go, right? That way, it is not going to be built efficiently. You are going to burn more tokens than required. And at the end of the day, you'll be stuck in prompting hell, where you just keep reprompting and reprompting and reprompting. The idea generally is structure. You take it one step at a time. You build the UI with Opus. When you are done reiterating, you get the basic elements out of the way. You can now begin to construct and structure your backend with Codex, right? And that's just an example. It doesn't mean you can't also do the backend with Opus, right? Opus is also very good for backend tasks, right? It's things people will even tell you it is better than Codex. I only use that as an example as to how certain people have preferences, right, based on what they are doing. So, irrespective of the AI tool you are using, the goal is to learn its strengths. The goal is to use it with structure. The goal is not to overload it with information, because when you overload it with information and a lot of things, you begin to be prompt and prompt and prompt, and at the end of the day, you don't achieve your results. Are there any other questions? Does anyone have any other questions? I saw in the chat that somebody wanted slides. I will share them with Loubby AI. I don't know how. Yeah, I'll send it to you and then you just share it with them. That's fine, right?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to send it to the community.
Okay, so I don't think there are any other questions.
Please, can you drop your LinkedIn profile so that people can connect with you as well? That's it.
Okay, let me
Sounds like
just
you actually.
get that and share it.
Lukman, I think you have a question, right? Please unmute and ask your question.
All right. Thank you, Amos, and the moderator too. So it's straightforward. So mine is not direct question for him. I understand what he said. Thank you. It's a question for probably Diko, for God's sake. Question for you. I registered for Loubby AI free training some times ago. I was expecting the starting or the date. I don't know if that started or not, but I didn't get any feedback, and I think I may send a DM to is it Asus, but I didn't get any response even till now. I don't know if that has started or has ended or not yet. Do you get my point?
Okay. You're talking about the information, right?
Yes, Attorney
Uh,
AI.
yes, actually, it has started and we are now in week 5. So you might want to join the next cohort.
Okay, but it didn't, nobody get back to me, even though I asked question, nobody reply. All right, I will look for the next course.
Any other question, please? Okay, Wallet Salabi. Please unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, Amos, everyone, good evening. Yeah, one of my questions is about, should I say about software engineering of a thing like coding with, with Opus and some other part of the other here too, like codecs. So, is it, should I say at the level of era of AI level that we are now, probably using some of these AI agentic assistants for let me even mention codecs because I use codecs like almost all time. So, what do you think about security relating to because sometimes it was in some space whereby I get some guys that they actually maybe at this level 100% trust what AI is actually giving to them, whereby sometimes they do less validation of their code. So I don't know. I don't know if there's anything you can talk about the current security of let me see the security level. Is it actually still based on prompt, or the current AI that we are having now is like it gets to a level that you don't even need to worry about the security and some other things that are so necessary to do if it was done manually before the era of AI actually comes in. Thank you.
Okay. To answer your question, the first thing I'm just going to say is even in Codex, when you run Codex for the first time, you see that message that they display there that Codex can make mistakes, right? So can AI, so
Yeah.
can Opus and the others. They all have that message. And like I mentioned during the presentation, is you use AI, like how me I personally use it is I use it to build and plan. Say for instance, I want to implement hot architecture. As a software engineer, I know what is expected of hot architecture. Oh, I want you to use Bcrypt. But for this particular hot architecture, I want us to be able to have rules, right, for maybe admin for users. All those things, I will build them out. I will properly structure my prompts and not overload the AI. So I will start. I am implementing an auth architecture. It is a basic auth that accepts username and password. Implement or create a plan, an implementation plan. When that is done, it gives me the implementation plan, which I read through, right? After reading through the implementation plan, I make adjustments and corrections wherever needed. Once done with that, I tell it to implement. That way, what is implementing is not too big for me to review. I won't feel pressured. I won't feel like, oh, this thing is too much. Where am I going to begin the review from? It's a small chunk of code, so I can easily look through it, review, and correct its mistakes. And then I go to the next segment. We are done with creating the sign-in and login flow, right? Right now, I want to create the permissioning role-based system. So I would say I'm creating a role-based access control. This is what is expected. Admin has these permissions. Users have this permission. Create an implementation plan. It does that. I make adjustments. When it is done, I then review the code. So that way, I am not overloading myself with too much information. I still see it as chunks of information where I can review and ensure that the AI doesn't make mistakes, right? Or is hallucinating somewhere. Because sometimes the AI is not necessarily as hallucinating. It is based off of the kind of prompt we gave it. If we don't prompt it well, right, it will it will return or implement things a certain way that we don't expect. So that's another thing, right? Remember that this AI is not in our head. It doesn't know what we are expecting. So certain times after we've prompted it even the right way, it might interpret it a different way and produce a different output. So it is essential that you review whatever it outputs to you. And the way to ensure that you are not overloaded every time this happens is to break down your work into chunks. If you are implementing a whole feature, break the feature down into chunks, review and test accordingly every step of the way. That way, you ensure productivity and you are not stuck in that prompting hell where you have to keep reprompting. Okay, you finish creating the feature, but this and this is not working. Can you fix this and this? And then it will try to fix three things at the same time. And at the end of the day, the AI will misinterpret the information along the way or prioritize one feature over the other. And at the end of the day, you spend an entire 5 hours prompting and reprompting, right? So it's to break it down into chunks and then prioritize and do it one after the other.
Okay, thank you. So this way you just actually recommend probably if probably let me say according to what you said, like doing those things in junk, like splitting them, not like you need to like overload the AI with a lot of things. Thank you very much for that. So additionally, I'm just asking for recommendation currently. Probably maybe if any user have actually gone through this. So is there any tools currently? But I think this message to everyone that let me say an AI assistant or agentic assistant that's currently as you are in era of AI trying to look forward to tools that can actually work better for some things and for some specifically. So I've not actually really used Opus. I think I used this Opus the very first time it was launched, and since then I'm not so sure I've touched that. And since then I've been using Codex, and I could say I don't know, but probably maybe I could say Codex is even better than almost every other thing I've touched for so long. So, but I want to ask this question: yeah, does anyone have probably already used tool that actually make it more easier for them to make a replicate version of a design on Figma to probably to code, probably maybe to let me say Angular, Vite, AstroJS, and some others. So I don't know if anyone have experienced this and probably was able to make the almost or probably let me say about 50% of the replicate of that design to what's it called to code, and you can easily just make some correction and start doing those things being productive.
Yeah, so I also, before I answer your question, the slide that I used in presentation was entirely done by Opus. I created the information, prepared a different slide, and I did not like the UI. So I gave the slide to Opus and told Opus, I have my information correct. Do not change anything. Just prepare the UI for a presentation. And that was Opus's output. Though I had to change some things here and there, but the UI, the slide entirely was done by Opus, right? And to answer your question, there are two ways you can go about that. For Figma, if you pay for Figma Pro, you can export the code, right? When you export the code, you can give it to your AI, and then your AI can now make whatever it has to do with the code it exported from Figma. So you can tell it, oh, I got this from Figma, implement this. Designers no longer, what's it called? They no longer prototype. I mean, I know I've met a couple of designers who don't prototype anymore. What they do is, after designing on Figma, they export the code to Claude and they tell Claude to implement it. And Claude will implement it. Opus will do it for them. I know designers who have done that. Some of them even go as far as deploying it on Vercel and giving it to the customer to see that this is what your website will look like when it is built, right? Another thing you can do is give access to the AI via you generate a auth token for your AI and you give it to that you generate the auth token on Figma and you give it to your AI to actually query directly. So you generate the auth token, give it the Figma design, and then it will just query directly and you tell it the screens you want to implement, right? That works also, but you bear in mind that Figma will limit you, right? You can't just keep, you know how AI eats endpoint, it just keeps hitting it, right? So that one, Figma will actually limit you. So you be careful how you use it. So those are ways you can actually replicate quality design from what you have on your Figma. Like you said, it probably will give you around 60 to 70%. Some font colors might be off, some font sizes might be off, some assets might be off. I mean, it does a good job actually getting the assets. Sometimes it doesn't. So some assets might be off, but you can try those two methods and see if you get better results.
Okay, thank you. So I think let me based on what you said now, thanks so much. I was just probably thinking there's actually a process I was using recently, but I was just thinking probably maybe I've not started explore yet because I'm trying to reduce myself going about looking into so many AI tools, like just trying to probably go away from so many of them sometimes, just not to probably overwhelm myself with what tools should be used. I'm probably jumping from one another. So that was I'm just looking if probably maybe there have been any other people or someone that have actually uh, tested some others. So okay, let me just talk about this. Probably it can be useful for any other people as well. So currently, I make use of Figma MCP, so which is if you got the pro plan, so Figma MCP with codex. So I use the both to probably make some part of the design, but though you still need to go through some level of things, but it feel great. And sometimes, let me say, just for the purpose that you're trying to leverage AI to, so you can still go on trying to mix of that. So I think at the end of it, I got about, let me say, should I even say about close to 70%, 70 to of 100. So using the MCP, but getting limits is just one thing too. So whether you need to wait and wait for some time. So additionally, thanks for the answer. So additionally, so I'm curious about so many things. I don't know if I can probably push this question ahead as well.
Yeah, go
Uh,
ahead.
okay, okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'm just trying to look at the current space. Should I even say, if you could realize I've been asking about just coding and AI engineering things stuff. So let me just ask question based on some other people that are also into some other test skills, or let me even talk about software engineering and probably coding thing. So at the end of AI that we are now, so I think, sorry, I don't know, probably maybe you might have said this before I actually joined the meeting because I just joined the meeting, you started discussion then. So and I'm not even prepared. I just saw the message on WhatsApp. Oh, let me try to join this would be useful. So now this era of AI that we are now, so for many people that are well skills, probably you as UI designer, you as a front end engineer, back end, and some other things. So let me talk about uh what's it? You having those skills at this era of AI. And let me say, do you think we should start looking into some other things or some other opportunities? Because currently now, almost everywhere now, should I say, getting probably a gig, getting a side gig, freelance job, and some other things are rapidly reduced within very short time period of time, as I can even tell. You get. So do you think what other places or what other opportunities do you think people that are also into software engineering should be looking into? That's because currently now I do understand that AI is actually taking a lot of places, and the need, or yeah, let me say it, because let me say the need actually reduce, the demand actually reduce, and whereby there are not a lot of people, even though that they don't really have that 100% knowledge to do those things before they don't start doing it. So whereby probably a job that's for about 100 people, and you will likely see about 10 people to see they want to do that job 100. So currently now you have about more than 500 people trying to get that same thing, and not because of anything, but probably almost everyone have leveraged the power of AI and they can easily use it to do so. Is there any other uh, windows, any other rooms that you think people that are skilled, uh, based on that they have skills that AI is making it work more faster, and demand is actually booming, and it's actually reduce the view of how they get job, how they get side gig, how they get projects. So is there another other thing that I think we can?
So,
Thank you.
I think I get your question, but to answer it, honestly, if you are looking for something to pivot into that AI is not going to be in, I'm sorry, there's nothing like that, right? The other day, I saw something about somebody that connected his Opus to his farm. He used sensors to check humidity, heat, gave it light in case this thing needs light, connected sensors to water, and Opus was running everything, and the plant was actually growing indoors, right? So if he's farming, it's coming there too. It's going everywhere. So, like you said, you were not part of this the slide when I was presenting. So, what I did mention is how to use AI effectively, right? It will level you up, no doubt. It closes a lot of skill gap. But what you should be worried about is not using it efficiently. There are those who use AI and just use it, and there are those who use it and it sets them apart because they are efficient in how they use it. There are those who want to build a feature and they prompt the AI vaguely, and then there are those who prompt the AI in a structured manner. At that point, you become an asset to wherever you are working. At that point, you are churning out more work, right? At a very efficient rate that is not putting you in prompt hell, which will reduce your cognitive, like affect your you become drained, cognitive drain, right? That's what I'm looking for. You are not tired at the end of the day because you are not asking the same thing over and over again. You don't have information overload because the AI is not giving you too much information at the same time. So if you structure it properly, you get to leverage it properly. Because at the end of the day, there will always be a human in the loop. Reason being that ownership, right? You can't send money on Stripe now, and then Stripe will tell you that your money did not get to the person because it's AI we used to build it. You are not going to take that, right? So there has to be some ownership in between. You will always be there. The question is, for you to stay there, you have to be relevant. So the real question is, how do you stay relevant? How are you always at the top at every point in time? And how is to use AI the right way, right? You have to leverage it the right way. And how do you leverage it the right way? By using it in a structured way where it doesn't cause you stress, where rather than spending more time, you are spending less time doing the right things efficiently, right? You don't spend every day after working feeling drained. You can attest to it that rather than doing less work as a software engineer, you do more work. But the question is, how do you feel after working? You feel drained because it's something that, the difference is that before you had a process, right? I know if I'm writing this function, this is what I need to do to write it. And then you can easily trace where it is not working. If you overload the information, it will spit out a lot of code. And at that point, you don't even know what is causing it to break. So you are forced to keep prompting and reprompting the AI. And your prompts are not even structured properly. So at that point, it is hallucinating and bringing in more things that are not required. And at the end of the day, you are drained mentally because you can't even process the information overload. You don't know where to start debugging from. And you can't even begin to process it. So you just, at the end of the day, keep reprompting. Do you understand that? So it is,
Yeah.
at this point, it is standing at the top. And how do you do that? It is by doing it the right way.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. I really appreciate that. So, and I think it's going to be beneficial for almost everyone as well. So, let me say, I think my question for now, I think, is all. That's all. So, and also additionally, please, you were requested to send a LinkedIn link or something. So, I don't know if it's likely possible you can share to screen, to WhatsApp, group, or probably on this meeting, so that everyone can please try to follow. Thank you.
All right. I already shared the link into the chat. So it's in the chat. Um, I think there are no other questions. I'm done.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. So this event is going to be posted on our YouTube channel, and once it is posted, I'm going to be sharing it in the community. And as soon as I get the slides, I'm going to send it to the community as well. Thank you so much, everyone. See you in our next event. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.